So it turns out that footballers like Michael Keane are actually human beings and they have emotions and worries and anxieties like the rest of us. So I've just been reading on GrandOldTeam some of Michael Keane's comments that he gave to the BBC for the campaign against living miserably. And within them, he's given like a really frank interview about his time when he first joined Everton and the struggles that he had. And I mean, there's a bit in the interview where he talked about not wanting to go out. He didn't want to leave the house because performances were that bad. And I think psychologically it had a massive impact on him and he just didn't want to go anywhere. And I think as much as we as football fans obviously have the right, we pay a lot of money, we have the right to express our opinion and critique footballers. And of course, you know, they earn lots of money and get all the good things that come with playing professional football. I think probably sometimes we do well to remember that these lads are just human beings as well. You know, of course, we're allowed to criticise footballers. Of course we are, when we don't think they've played particularly well, but there's certainly a way to do it. He talks about in the interview that he felt embarrassed about his performances on the pitch, and in the end, he just had this full-blown mental breakdown. And I'm sure this, you know, there was loads of factors that contributed to that. Probably his own opinion of how he saw himself as a footballer. He probably started to question whether he was good enough, but I'm sure, you know, a certain percentage of this was the scrutiny that he was under since he made the move to Everton. I mean, you'll remember rightly, he started off at Man United, he was highly rated, Everton paid a decent fee for him. And anyway, all of this just made me think about kind of my responsibility and our responsibility collectively as football fans, you know, and the way that we talk about footballers sometimes. I mean, all of us can wax lyrical about how the press treat footballers in this country and how they build these lads up and then knock them down. But ultimately, you know, how much do we do the same? How much do we not consider the other things that are going on in their lives and then how much do we not really think about the things that we write on the internet or we say in front of camera about these lads? But one thing that I think's a real testament to Michael Keane is how he's managed to come through that period now. So I think we all can agree that his performances have definitely improved for Everton. And of course, you know, we all go through tough phases in our lives. Me and you probably don't have to do it on such a big stage like playing football in the Premier League for a decent sized football club. Anyway, he also talks about like not throwing in the towel. That's the expression that he uses in the article. And I think it's actually testament to Michael Keane that he came through that period. You know, he talked about how he hit rock bottom, he had this breakdown in front of his family, and then he's managed to come through that. And I think we can all agree that his performances have probably improved. And if I was a young lad who wants to get into professional football, I'd be looking at Michael Keane now as an example of someone who can come through some of that adversity. And that is a credit to him. Obviously, tough periods in life, they come in whatever profession that you do. But it's about coming through them, and he's done that, and that's quite admirable. Plus, we have to consider that when he first joined Everton, he had a manager in Ronald Koeman who, by all accounts, probably wasn't the type of guy to put an arm around his shoulder. So with a big price tag, it wasn't an easy situation to come into. And I don't know whether in the future we'll look at Michael Keane as a success at Everton or not, but he does strike me as quite a good guy and quite a nice lad. And obviously, you know, he's got a bit about him to come through a period like this when other players, other people may have crumbled. And I read a comment from a user on Everton's subreddit the other day that was talking about, you know, he's obviously a good player, but he just lacks a bit of aggression. And I thought that was a really good observation. He probably does need to be a little bit more aggressive. Not all great centre-halves obviously need to be aggressive. I don't think Bobby Moore was particularly aggressive, but it is quite a good feature for a centre-half to have. And the person on Reddit made the comparison with Harry Maguire, and I think it's a good one. See, I don't necessarily think that Harry Maguire has an abundance of more talent than Michael Keane. I just think the way that he plays, the way that he's combative, I just think that helps him. And if Michael Keane could maybe borrow a little bit of that, it'd probably stand him in better stead. But there's also another comment from the article that GrandOldTeam have shared. We should go over to the homepage now and check that out. And he talks about how the first day back in training after this massive layoff, it was like Christmas Eve, and he was really excited and he laid his kit out ready for the next morning. And I suppose that's another thing that maybe you don't think about, you know, the fact that a lot of these professional footballers, that's all they've known is football, and they've had to do none of it for 8 weeks solid. I'm sure they're pretty excited to get it back. Of course, for me, I'd still rather not have football back when fans can't fill stadiums, but I can see why if you're a footballer, you'd be desperate to get back. And just finally, if you're having a hard time, if you head over to the forum on Grand Old Team, a good friend of mine, Groucho, launched the mental health thread on there. It's up to 971 pages now, and people gather on there to give each other advice, and it's just a good place to go and express your feelings. So if you get a chance, then check that out. And once again, thanks for watching Grand Old Team. I'm Adam Partington. You can get me on Instagram at @PartAdam, and I'll see you again next time on Grand Old Team TV.